fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
This is very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome one, welcome all to a SimSpeed TV presentation this Thursday night. It is time for the next round of the ODSE Big Block Modified Madness series. We've already seen some fantastic rounds so far in this series, and there was a little bit of a shake-up last week at USA International Speedway where James Edens took his first feature win of the season. Joel Berkeley, of course, up there on the podium as well, and maintaining his hold over this championship. Looking forward to seeing what we can do in this round at Limaland Motorsports Park. Very small track, high banking up the top, and in these big block modifieds, well, you're certainly in for a show. I'm Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box once again, Ryan Jones. Ryan, you took a week off, and you're going to be taking another couple of weeks off in a bit, but you're back here for Limaland, and I'm sure you're looking forward to tonight as much as I am.
I took last week off. Yes, you're hello again. I'm back for a week. I'm looking forward to this. The series has been a lot of fun over the first few weeks. I'm sure it was last time out on Limaland. Big wide track, some very deceptive tires on the inside of the surface as well, isn't there? They just protrude out a little bit, and they can really unsettle your big block modified if you touch them. So you've got to be wary of those. But I think we should see plenty of 2-3 wide racing tonight.
Yeah, we certainly should, and the track really lends itself well to that, especially considering how much the banking increases as you go towards the top of the circuit at this place. Allows drivers to really hang it around the outside, use that banking to keep their momentum up down the straights. We'll see who comes out on top tonight, but so far on top, that is definitely not the championship standings of the Big Block Modified Madness.
Dance would not be on top of these.
No way, no way. Well, Cameron Dance did do pretty well last week, though, all things considered. There it is, Joel Berkeley in the championship lead by 184 points over his American teammate James Edens. Josh Harm makes it a Slick Sim Sport 1-2-3 in the standings, which is certainly something that team is going to be celebrating for now, and they'll be hoping that is the same throughout the rest of the season. But looking down through the rest of these standings, Ryan, we can see that there is quite a bit of competition in and around the top 6, top 7 drivers. Yeah.
I mean, what you got? Harry Stewart, Trent Gosley, Lewis Stewart, are 3 that stand out to me. And I would expect Dance and Hobson to be higher up as well.
Yeah,
but look at the gap in the points. It is ridiculous. 793 points after 4 rounds.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to get that gap sealed in the remaining rounds of this season, and exacerbating that is the fact that we have passing points in this championship. I think a large part of why we're seeing such a big gap from the top two from everyone else is Berkeley and Edens have just passed more people this season and gained the extra championship points due to that. So I think if the drivers want to mount an assault on this championship, they're going to have to start sending it.
Well, it all comes down to qualifying in the heats. Berkeley and Edens keep qualifying towards the front. They keep getting shuffled to the back for the A-main with the random invert. And with their speed, they just naturally pass people and gives them points. I mean, they were 200 odd points, I think I saw at the top there for Berkeley. Only 40 odd for Hobson, Cameron Dance down the bottom of the top 12. So you've just got to do better in qualifying. It still gives plenty of importance to qualifying and the heats.
Yeah, certainly does. And we got cars out on track now, sussing out how the track is at the moment. It's nice and clean right now. Haven't worked a line into this circuit just yet, but you'll see one emerging as the heats go on. Joel Berkeley there going to the top, a 12.7 second lap. And that's one of the things we have to think about with Limaland is its shortness. This track can be 10 seconds or less per lap in something like a sprint car. In these modifieds, they're obviously much heavier. They don't have anywhere near the amount of downforce, and they got a slightly different chassis configuration to those sprint cars. Still gets around here at a rate of knots, 12 seconds to a lap, and hopefully we don't see too much of that tonight.
Could be a possibility, though, with the way they throw it into these corners. They drive it quite deep, it looks like. And really try to almost dive into the corner off, don't they?
Yeah, I think what you're going to be seeing, especially in the final few races of the night, you might see drivers going for a narrow entry into the corners and using the banking to kind of shore themselves up towards the exit of the corner, make sure they don't hit the wall on the outside and use that momentum to get onto the next straight again. Already seeing the line forming, and looks like the vast majority of drivers are looking to go mid-track, at least at this stage.
Yeah, and we're going to see that change over the course of the night. Looking at Lewis Hewitt there. No, we're not. I was. Who was running the top. Rasmussen is running at the bottom of the racetrack. Difference is Rasmussen's down the bottom of the timesheets. And a relatively smaller field tonight as well, Reese. We're going to only have about 3 heats.
Yeah, it's looking like tonight's going to go pretty quickly. We're not seeing anywhere near the amount of entries we saw for the previous round, so who knows? We might still see a few drivers file in before the end of the practice session. They just want to give it a few more minutes before they tick over into qualifying. But yes, either way, we're going to be seeing... Wow, okay. That's one of the hazards you've got to look out for. James Eden's demonstrating the pylons on the inside. But I do think it's going to be a shorter night than what we've seen before. We've usually gone for 4, sometimes 5 heats so far in the season. But yeah, I think 3 seems like a more reasonable number this time round.
Only going to make it more frantic, the running this evening. You can see already that cushion starting to form, can't you, around the top of 1 and 2, and how low down a lot of the field is already electing to run as a result of that.
Yes, indeed. The used line there very wide as we look at James Edens. He's going all the way up to the top there to get some momentum onto the straight and still using the top, almost riding the wall. It seems like the really fast guys are quite comfortable there up the top, and you'll see them switching it up a bit as James Edens is doing here. He did his first lap using the top of the circuit. Now he's switched to the bottom, and wow, you really get a sense for how big the ruts are down those straights from the onboard of James Edens. I mean, we've barely even gone through the practice session, and we're already seeing some very heavy usage on this track.
Yeah, going to be pretty treacherous by the time we get into the feature. Going to be very polarizing, I think, in the heats as well. You can see Edens trialing both sides of the racetrack, top and bottom.
Josh Harm, on the other hand, seems pretty comfortable there, going to the top and maybe down to the middle as well. A little bit of oversteer there to avoid a car stopped just ahead of him. Cameron Dance and the number 22 of Damien Rasmussen, Brenton Hobson as well. 12th in the championship and 12th in the session at the moment. And he'll want to make good on his threats of great success in this series. He came away from USA licking quite a few wounds, and he'll want to get the rest of his season off to a nice consistent start. Darcy Wilson will be hoping for some of that as well. Edens and Berkeley getting into the 12.6s in terms of lap time, and no one else able to get into the sixes. So it seems that at least for now, James Edens and Joel Berkeley, they've shown their hand first, and they have what they would hope to be control over this field. But we're going to have to find out in qualifying, see if drivers like Josh Harm, Harry Stewart, Lewis Hewitt, Jaden Russell, Kane Della, those drivers, see if they could pull one out in qualifying out of nowhere and beat the Slick Sim Sport dominators.
Do you think we've got enough for everyone to make the feature, or are we going to see people cut regardless? Because we've had 24 odd car features.
Yeah. It has been a 24 car field for the feature in every round so far. So I'm not quite sure, really. Looking at where we're at the moment, it looks like there is 25 drivers in the server. So I think if one driver doesn't get cut in the heat throughout the course of the night, or if one driver doesn't retire, yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. A bit of word salad coming out of my mouth there.
All right. Into qualifying we go. 25 cars. One, Adam Barnard, did not set a time in practice. So I wonder if he'll get out on the track for qualifying here as the session begins, and we'll start to see everyone venture out onto the dirt.
3 minutes is the length of the qualifying session, and every driver gets 2 laps to set their qualifying time. And the number 4 of Trent Gosley, one of the first drivers out. Looking forward to seeing how he does. Coming round to the start-finish line to set his first time. And staying in the middle of the circuit, going to almost to the very bottom on exit, trying to straighten out his exits as much as possible. 12.965. Lewis Hewitt's already gone faster than that on a 12.949. And the times keep filing in. Nash Granger setting a 13.25. And Adam Barnard there, Ryan, he has managed to make it out onto the circuit as we see Aaron Kelly staking his claim.
Colton Davies got halfway through his first lap and then just abandoned it. So he's only going to have one timed lap up his sleeve. He's just crossed the line, and it's actually not a bad lap. I put him second.
Yeah, not bad at all. Colton Davis there.
Kelly.
Whoa. Goodness me.
That brings an early end to Kelly's session with a big crunch meeting with the fence. Joel Berkeley, James Edens pulling up short of the line. Kane Della hasn't got a time in yet. That was awfully close to the barrier. That hit the barrier.
And as we see Kane Della gearing up for his particular run, Josh Harm and James Eden, the Slick Sim Sport 1 and 2 at the front of the field right now, and Della unfortunately can't break into the 12s. Look at Joel Berkeley, though. He's just managed to put it on top.
a very conservative lap from Della after nudging the fence and validating his first attempt. He just needs to get a time on the board. Brenton Hobson, 13.024. He's got one more attempt, though. Giving as much throttle as he can. Really sliding it in and setting up for the exit on and across the line. 12.951. Puts himself up into P8 for the 88.
Not bad at all there for Brenton Hobson. Looks like 12.9 is a very popular time at the moment, as you can see. 6th place all the way down to 10th. Sorry, 11th, 12th even. 13th, 14th, 15th. You just keep looking, and the further down you go, the more 12.9s you see. Very close.
11 cars separated by 0.08 of a second.
That's insane. And it looks like that is all the times done, because Josh Barry not setting a time there. It's Berkeley, Harms, Edens, Clark, and Norman, your top 5, and they'll be sorted out into fields for their heats. Hewitt, Wilson, Hobson, Davis, and Russell rounding out your top 10 times. Only 2/10 covered there. And it's looking to me like we are going to have only 3 heats tonight with 9 cars, and 8 cars in each heat. Grid 4, the first one, is ready to go. It's going to be Joel Berkeley starting on pole with Lewis Clark alongside him on the front row. Darcy Wilson and Jaden Russell for Synergy Sim Racing keeping up the second row. Mitchell Clark and Max Lumsden on row 3 with Boyd and Della rounding out the 4th row. Cameron Dance starting 9th and last in this particular field. Now, looking at this field, I mean, Joel Berkeley is the name that jumps out. He is the championship leader. He's won all features bar 1 so far this season. Who out of this field do you think can come up to stop him?
I don't think they can. Darcy Wilson, maybe. I'm just looking at the advancements here. So 4 are going to go through from all 3 of these heats, putting 12 straight through to the feature. That leaves 15 drivers to scrap it out in the B, and BA mains.
Yeah, and
Not sure how that'll be split either.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think it's still going to be the top 4 going through into the feature in those sessions. So, well, you're looking at 16 and 20 going through. So maybe they'll let more cars through in the B mains to allow the full 24 car grid for the feature to be made up. But we're going to cross that bridge when we get to it, because the drivers are away on their formation laps. They're going to run for 2 of these behind the pace truck, and then we can go racing. Joel Berkeley, who are right on board with a former winner here at Limaland. He took the feature win in the 360 Power Series in 2020, so he's got some form to back himself up here.
Riding on board with Joel Berkeley, hey? Very strange looking big block.
Okay, yes. All right, I see where I made my mistake.
Alrighty, let's get this night underway, Reese. First heat of the night, Berkeley with the field. Green flag is out.
And away we go. It's a good start from Berkeley. He goes immediately to the top, which is interesting. Darcy Wilson working the bottom with Harry Stewart, trying to split them through the middle. And Berkeley's starting to gain some momentum here and come back at Wilson. And he's taken the lead back. And Lewis Clark there, in the number 11, not Harry Stewart. Let's see how they go, battling here. Lewis Clark and Darcy Wilson. Clark going to the bottom on exit. Have a look at Jaden Russell too, and the number 27 really starting to pressure these guys. It's looking like Darcy Wilson is trapped on the bottom here.
Yeah, there's too much up there still at the top of the track for drivers to round up the car on the bottom, and Wilson was desperate to get up there. Jaden Russell was still there. Russell ends up on his lid.
That's a retirement.
A retirement indeed, and a side-by-side battle still between Berkeley and Clark for the lead. Lumsden on the outside looking in of a transfer spot. Mitchell Clark holds 4th behind Wilson in 3rd, and then the 2 leaders.
Have a look at this between the 2 of them, the 9 and the 11. Berkeley, you can see, rounds it up on the exit. Carries a little bit more speed through the corners. There's a bit more fresh clay down there, but Lewis Clark is making life difficult for him on entry. Got to be careful that they don't come together. It's about to come up to the white flag too. These heats go by so quickly at Limaland. Final lap then, and Lewis Clark will want to fire it down the inside here to try and get this heat win. Let's see what they can do. He is ahead of Berkeley at the corner exit, but Berkeley gets a better exit, and wow! Across the line they go. Over and under there for Joel Berkeley, but he still takes the win by 0.083 seconds from Lewis Clark. That was a fantastic run for them. Looks like Mitchell Clark able to hold off Max Lumsden for the transfer spot there.
Outsider winning in style. And good job between them not to be silly. It was only a heat. They're both into the feature now. So Heat 2 lines up for 8 more laps with Josh Harm and Nathan Norman on the front row. Brenton Hobson will start third with James Rice inside of the transfer region next to him. Harry Stewart, Paul Bryan, Kieran Ellis, Damian Rasmussen, and Josh Barry all need to find positions if they want to book a spot straight in the feature from this race.
Indeed they do, and they are away behind the pace truck once again. Josh Harm starting from the pole position here. He'll likely have the advantage, at least at the initial throttle application, but Nathan Norman starting on the outside would have seen that Joel Berkeley was able to work the outside super well in the opening laps, so he'll probably be able to open the steering a little earlier, get a slightly faster exit, and then dive his way into the top end of turns 1 and 2.
Well, we saw a very even jump, really, from the top 4 on that first heat, didn't we? And Clark gave him a good run from 4th.
Green flag flies, though, and we are away. It's a great start from Josh Harm, and he's left Nathan Norman sleeping there. Brenton Hobson has taken advantage of that and slots through into second place. And now James Rice and Harry Stewart behind, looking to take advantage. Paul Bryan in this as well in the number 42. Very tight racing for third on back, and remember, 4th place is the transfer spot. We've had a spinner meanwhile. It looks like that was Josh Barry going for a bit of a twirl on the back straight. Josh Harm still leading from Brenton Hobson. Here's the view on board from Damian Rasmussen. This is quite tight quarters here.
3 wide. Harry Stewart is ripping it around the top of the racetrack, trying to get around the outside of all of these drivers. There he is, right at the top.
Hello.
Speed he carries down the straights, but he just can't quite get to the quarter panel of the top 4. Now he does. James Rice, got to be careful. He could lose out. Nathan Norman is going to lose out here if he's not. He's trapped now, Norman. He's trapped.
Yeah. He is. There's nowhere for him to go, and Stewart just lunging it into every single corner. Norman's got to try and make a move somewhere, but just doesn't have the opportunity to do it, and they haven't got much time left. They are on lap 6 and coming on to lap 7, penultimate lap then for these guys, and Nathan Norman down there has completely lost out to Harry Stewart on the exit. He's now going to be battling there with Paul Bryan, and Stewart taking advantage and moving ahead, and there is Norman falling behind Paul Bryan. Lap 8 then, they go across the line up the front. Josh Harm is going to take victory in stylish fashion. Brenton Hobson in second, Stewart and Rice perhaps completing your top 4 there. Wow. What a finish there between those guys. Only a couple of tenths between Stewart and Rice. Bryan wasn't that far behind either.
Looked like Norman was getting boxed in by his teammate when he lost out on that top 4 spot. So that could be an interesting debrief if he doesn't make the feature. One last heat then, Reese.
Certainly could, and Edens and Hewitt on the front row for this one. That's going to be a very hotly contested lead. Colton Davis, who we saw make that big surprise entrance in qualifying, starting third with Trent Gosley alongside him. Barnard and Kelly with King and Granger rounding out the 8-car field here tonight. So half of these guys are going to have to be racing again in the double B main that we've got. James Edens reversing for some reason on the starting grid. Not too sure why that's a thing, but away pulls the pace truck. You know, well, might be another even start here between Edens and Hewitt.
who's third? I've noticed, so Darcy Wilson, so Clark started second on the first one, not fourth. Wilson started third, and he was 3 wide with the leaders for a while. And on the last one, Hobson started third, and he went with Josh Hart for a long time. So what can Colton Davis do from third in this heat?
That is the big question. He's going to have to be right on the mark here, because when they enter that start zone, the leaders are able to go at any time they like. So he's going to have to be right on this. The green flag flies, and wow, yeah, look at that. He is right on it with James Edens, and Edens moves all the way to the top of the circuit. Big entry into the first turn there with Colton Davis working the inside, just using that little strip of fresh clay right by the tyres, but he's going to have to be careful that those things don't flip him over. It is on for the lead, though. Have a look at Trent Gosley and Lewis Hewitt getting together in the middle of the circuit. That's quite intense.
Aaron Kelly.
Oh, yeah. Talk about Aaron Kelly. He is moving in on this battle here and just gaining slight advantages every single lap, every single corner.
I thought he had the run then for a minute. He was flying, but he just couldn't get it powered up on the exit. But he's right in behind Gosley now, who holds the final transfer spot. They both try to cut down on the exit. There's almost contact between them. You saw it on board with Gosley. Got to be careful because Barnard's ready to pounce as well. Now there's contact and Gosley's almost tipped around. He's tipped into a slide instead, which is helpful, if anything.
It looks like they've, well, at least Gosley
has
left
no, in the fence race leader, James Edens.
Oh my goodness! Edens there, smashed around by the other cars in the field and on his roof. That's a retirement. He is going to have to work his way through the consolations. That's going to be a big challenge. So that means that has promoted Colton Davis back into the lead technically. Lewis Hewitt putting pressure on him around the outside. But have a look at the run that he gets around the outside. And if he keeps getting runs like that, he is ahead at the start-finish line. So Colton Davis is going to have to switch up to the top on this final lap. He's not going to get an opportunity. Trent Gosley is going to try and steal second from him. Aaron Kelly trying to work the wall up top. And there we go. That is the finish. Hewitt finishing in first. Gosley just beating Colton Davis by 0.05 of a second there. Wow. I mean, at the very least, he's managed to get himself a ticket into the feature, has Davis, but my goodness, I think there's going to be a few drivers coming away from that thinking, it could have been way better. James Edens among them.
Look at this. So just the 1B main, as you see our results on the screen, just the 1B main, 12 go through to the feature, so 2 cars are going to miss out. Also, on James Edens, he just got up into the fence all by himself, and once he grabbed the fence, it just rode him up and he started riding it. Flipped onto his lid, and it was Aaron Kelly that pretty much pile drive to the side of him. And Kelly was fortunate not to pick up damage. So here's the starting grid race for the B main.
Indeed, it's Lumsden and Bryan on the front row, Barnard and Della behind them. Keep an eye out for that second row, see if they can get an advantage on the start. Norman and King looking for some redemption after their defeats in the heats, with Boyd and Rasmussen behind them. Granger and Dance 9th and 10th, and the field rounded out by Kieran Ellis, James Edens, who we saw make that spectacular exit from the last heat. Jaden Russell, we also saw him make a spectacular exit, and Josh Barry in 14th and last position. Barry has taken to the grid here, finishing last in Heat 2. He's going to want to try and work his way up in this heat, but Lumsden is going to be the one with the advantage on the start.
He is. And Adam Barnard from third. That worked out last heat as well, didn't it?
It did. Very much so. At the very least, he can almost be guaranteed a third place finish after what we saw happening with Colton Davis in the final heat of the night. Let's see then, Lumsden takes the start, the rear end swing out, and that is an excellent start from Max Lumsden. The rest of the field caught sleeping as Norman tried getting up the inside of Barnard in turn 1. Barnard overcome there by Paul Bryan and working the middle of the circuit. Have a look at Nathan Norman. He is stuck down on the bottom, and it seems that no one is able to find a way past him here.
4, 5, Cameron Dance goes, spitting away. Something had to give, and it was Dance.
and a couple of others as well. It looks like Josh Barry and James Edens have fallen into issues as well, and that's a retirement for Edens. He's not going to make the feature.
Yeah, but look, it's a battle of the Harry and Dance are way off the pack, fighting for the last transfer spot.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be quite hotly contested, isn't it? Barry versus Dance. It's almost as exciting as what's going on up at the front. Someone else.
No, they've crashed. They're both going to get in now because...
That's Lumsden.
Oh.
Yep, Max. Oh, sorry, Adam Barnard. My apologies.
Ellis has gone around as well. He slots in between Dance and Barry.
Everything's just gone off in these last couple of laps in the space of about 20 seconds. I don't quite know how to keep track of this. So now Ellis, he's getting overcome by them around the outside. Dance working the middle of the circuit. Ellis wants to try and get up to the top of the circuit so he can get some of that pace back, but just seems he's not able to do it. Crossed the line in 12th last time round.
Bob King is setting some mega sliders at the moment. He just absolutely launched one up the inside of Paul Bryan. It didn't work out, and he's restrained himself now that we're seeing him, but wow, he gave it absolutely everything.
Oh, another car in the wall. Kane Della up and over. He is now down in that last spot. He's actually on his side, so that's another retirement. Everyone still racing, I think, is going to be able to get into the feature now.
Yep. A retirement is the only thing he couldn't afford to do in this B-main. Now they're fighting for starting positions for the feature to set the last 12 spots on the grid.
That's it. And Paul Bryan is the one in the lead at the moment as they've started the penultimate lap. Bob King trying another slider on him, getting down to the inside, trying to unsettle him a bit, but looks like it's not quite working out. King caught the tyre there. He could potentially lose second. Paul Bryan under no pressure whatsoever. Meanwhile, up the front, taking victory in the B main. King's going to cross the line in second, Lumsden third, with Rasmussen in fourth. Jaden Russell redeeming himself there by completing the top five. What a chaotic B main that was, but we do have a feature grid now, and it will be time to pay a visit to our friend, the spinning wheel, see what kind of invert we're going to be looking for. We'll just refresh ourselves quickly. The results of this B main. Cameron Dance ultimately making it back into the top 10. Josh Barry in 9th, but those that winning margin there by Paul Bryan must be satisfying considering everything that went on.
Yeah. They'll be very happy about that. And I'm just thinking about the heat. We've ended up with 24 cars race.
Yeah, we have indeed. All the way at the end of it. 12 cars getting decided in the heats, and the final 12 decided in the B main. Spinning wheel time. Will it be the top 8, the top 10, or the top 12 that get inverted? Looks like it's going to be the top 8. That means Harry Stewart is your pole man, and Joel Berkeley is going to be starting back in 8th position. But considering Berkeley's form so far this season, Ryan, I don't think that's going to be a problem for him.
Yeah, a little bit disappointed about the options given to us, 8, 10 and 12. What happened to the 14, 16 and 18 we had in the first round?
It depends on the number of heats. So if there's only 3 heats, then you only get those 3 options, 8, 10 and 12. But yeah, I think this is going to perhaps be a slightly less chaotic start with the leaders not starting as far back as they have in previous rounds. But I mean, you see what's going on the track down there. I think there's going to be at least a couple of occasions where we see the caution flag coming out. It's 40 green flag laps. No, sorry, 50 green flag laps and 80 total here tonight.
Whichever comes first.
Yes.
So Harry Stewart pulls the rabbit out of the hat and finds himself on pole position for the feature. Darcy Wilson alongside him. That race is a very strong front row.
It is indeed, and they're teammates to boot at United Esports, so that's going to be a great team start as well. They're going to have to be careful, though, of Trent Gosley and Brenton Hobson on the row behind. Gosley's going to be the one starting in third, which we've seen tends to gain an advantage on the start. What's Hobbo going to be able to do around the outside?
Still a few contenders from back in the pack as well. Bob King, Paul Bryan, Aaron Kelly, Max Lumsden starting mid-pack. Could see all of them fighting up there as well. We know that over the course of this race, we're probably going to see anyone and everyone running towards the front at some point, the way it shakes out. And the track doesn't look as bad as some of the places we visited so far this season, does it? In terms of usage, thanks to the fact we've only had 3 heats and 1 B main as opposed to 4 or 5 heats and 2 B mains.
Yes, indeed, and you can see quite clearly that there's strips of fresh clay at the very bottom and the very top. You're going to have to be very precise with the positioning of your car if you want to take advantage of that extra grip available. The field is filing onto the starting grid now, and this is the way that they are lining up, but not the way they will start. Just take the top 8 and invert them. It's Stewart and Wilson on the front row, followed by Gosley and Hobson, then Clark and Hewitt, then Harmon Berkeley rounding out the top 8, with Colton Davis and Mitchell Clark rounding out the top 10.
Starting 11th will be James Rice with Aaron Kelly alongside him. Then comes Brian, King, Lumsden, Rasmussen on row 8. Jaden Russell and Nathan Norman, who's been in some very precarious spots this night already, hasn't he, Norman? And then Granger and Boyd, the top 20. The last 4 cars, Josh Barry, Cameron Dance, Kieran Ellis, and Adam Bernard.
Well, Adam Barnard there, starting dead last, but certainly we know that he has great potential. Started third in the B main, remember, and was doing a very good job up until he was spun around. Fortunately, he was able to scrape in there in 12th place. But our eyes will be shortly turned up to the front of the field with Harry Stewart and Darcy Wilson in the 2 red machines. Away they go. Green flag, and we are racing at Limaland for round 5. The Oceanic Dirt Sim Events Big Block Modified Madness. Bottom and top worked very well. It looks like Darcy Wilson getting compromised on the exit there. Allowed the door open there for Trent Gosley, and a concertina started up the top. Look at Joel Berkeley firing his way down the inside of Brenton Hobson and Lewis Clark into some of the top positions.
Caution comes out already on lap 2.
Oh no.
1 car around. That's Damian Rasmussen. When Wilson shot to the top of the racetrack to get up there, it checked up Hobson and then Hewitt, and it caused that concertina effect that you mentioned as we look at the virtual racing school replay.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for Damian Rasmussen here in the number 22. You're going to see that checkup starter. Oh no, he was actually turned around there by Paul Bryan. So Wilson, I think, no, sorry. Rasmussen, my apologies, I am really not on fire tonight. Rasmussen, I think, might have slowed up a bit seeing the concertina up ahead, and then Bryan, well, he was a bit too straight on entry into that second turn, so that's the way it goes. Little tap in the rear sends these things around, and no wonder you see how far the rear end hangs out.
Alright, let's try again. We only got 2 laps in that time. 48 to go.
All right, let's see how this goes. Harry Stewart leads them away, and Trent Gosley up there in second. He's going to be able to maintain that. Have a look at Joel Berkeley and Lewis Hewitt on the inside there, working the very bottom of the racetrack. They've got Josh Harm for company as well. Darcy Wilson gets a slightly better exit there than Joel Berkeley, and they bang wheels coming into 1 and 2. Brenton Hobson's been checked up and almost gets turned around by Mitchell Clark as it's 3 wide. They're all packed like sardines through that corner. Oh no!
Wilson grabbed the fence and took Mitchell Clark with him as he bounced back out straight into the path of Clark, who I now can't find on my screen. Here's the replay, thanks to VRS.
Let's see this. Wilson got into the wall all by himself there, and Mitchell Clark, an innocent victim, gave him a good whack. And
he did a good job to save that. That car was probably towards the fence.
Yeah.
I didn't find him. He's still in the top 10.
Oh, yeah, look at how much lock he wound on there. Think any more and you would have snapped the wheels off, but my goodness. Very well recovered there from Mitchell Clark. He's going to continue here.
With an end-of-line penalty for Darcy Wilson.
Ah, dear. Yes, of course. Got to remember that. In the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events rulebook, if you are the car that brings out a caution and Race Control deems you as such, you're going to be sent to the back for the restart. And since we haven't had back-to-back cautions yet, the restart's going to remain double file. Harry Stewart leads them away, but Joel Berkeley is right on him and pressuring him up the inside into turn one. Joel Berkeley, oh no, I just saw Aaron Kelly getting into the wall. He's at the back of the field now, but the battle for the lead continues. Berkeley doing very well to catch Harry Stewart out there on the start, but Stewart's starting to bring it back, and so is Gosley. Have a look at them working at the outside there, feeding the right rear to the wall, and Lewis Clark doing well too.
Josh Harm almost got turned around there by the 25. And Hobson got a piece of it as well. That was Colton Davis that almost turned him around. Now they're 3 wide. Bob King on the top. King working his way forward then, as expected.
Yeah, it's pretty intense racing, and Bob King doing a very good job there. He's kept his car towards the outside of the circuit as for the lead. They're 2 wide once again. The inside Trent Gosley, and tries to pull the slider there on Harry Stewart, but ultimately didn't work. Oh, look at the slider from Joel Berkeley too.
Riding the top, Stewart tried to cover, but Gosley had got to the quarter panel, needed to move across earlier, like right now. And now Gosley's boxed in because Berkeley gets to his left side. He goes to the big slider, he gets into Stewart, and that allows Gosley to ride right around the outside of both of them. And here comes the next man in line, Lewis Clark.
Goodness me. Yeah, Berkeley got knocked back a fair way by that. He's managed to get back ahead of Hewitt, at least for the time being. Hewitt swapped positions with him again. But Trent Gosley seems to not be falling under as much pressure as others have in the past for the lead at Limaland. Looks like Harry Stewart is now the cork in the bottle, keeping Lewis Clark, Mitchell Clark, Joel Berkeley, Lewis Hewitt, Josh Harmon, Bob King all behind him in a line. This is an intense battle for the top 7.
And there's a gap back to Brenton Hobson, which leads to the rest of the field, side by side with Davis, but we'll keep our eye at the front here, because this is looking very feisty. All of them want to be at the top of the racetrack, which is what's causing all of these big slide jobs. They all want to get the move done and go right back to the top. That's a failed attempt from Berkeley. He slots right back in where he was.
Lap 15 and coming on to lap 16. Bob King trying a slight slider on Josh Harm. It didn't end up working for him. Harming up there on the top, working really well with the fresh clay right up against the wall. Harry Stewart and Lewis Clark are locked together in an absolute stalemate of a battle right now. They're both running the wall. Clark's trying to go for the narrow line on exit and try and set up a slider, but it just isn't working out for him right now. Bob King's starting to lose a bit of touch there with Josh Harm, but...
He's in 10th place from the back of the grid.
Oh, look indeed. Cameron Dance. Yeah, I saw him taking advantage of one of the battles earlier as we got another caution. It looks like that is quite the incident. Who was involved in that? That's Kieran Ellis.
Dance, the biggest mover in the field then, plus 12.
Oh dear, it looks like Darcy Wilson has had something to do with this again, unfortunately. Wilson getting into the wall up at the top of turns 3 and 4, and once again he did it all on his own. Just got the... Yeah, he did. I just watched it.
Not according to race control.
Really?
Pretty
What
sure
did they say?
I'm pretty sure I just heard Brady Baldwin call Wilson out for his second incident.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. Wilson brought out the caution by getting into the wall by himself.
And then Kieran Ellis hit him. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, look, don't mind me. I was...
It's okay. It's a slow night for both of us, Ryan. I've made my fair share of mistakes. Ellis there, rejoining the back of the grid with Darcy Wilson and Trent Gosley forming up to get us the restart. Yes, indeed. Green flag once again, and Harry Stewart. Let's see if he can try and get this done. Look at that. Great exit from Harry Stewart. Beautifully done. The slide job is initiated. Doesn't succeed, though. Oh, only just. Oh, maybe a bit too well. That sent 3 cars right towards the inside. That's Gosley, Mitchell Clark, and Lewis Clark all together. And oh, no! Hewitt together with Bob King. They made side-by-side contact there, and Hewitt has been sent spinning in the middle of the pack.
Ranger hits him, and I think Bernard might have hit him as well.
Oh, that's quite the spirited pit entry there from Lewis Hewitt.
Hewitt's incident was stemmed by the warm down low. It was all 3 of these track low on the exit. Bob King washes up the track, I think, in reaction to that, and it pushes Hewitt into the fence.
That's a big shame there for Lewis. He copped a couple of extra hits there on his way down to the bottom of the grid. We'll see if any penalty comes out from that one, because the caution is indeed back out as a result of that one, and we remain on lap 19 of 50.
Lap 31 of 32 of 80 total on that count as well. Here's...
I'll tell you what, if King ends up getting a penalty for that incident with Lewis Hewitt, which we're still waiting on confirmation of that, but if he does, it looks like he won't actually, because we're going to be going racing again. King has worked his way up into 3rd as a result of all of this, and Joel Berkeley back up to the top of the field and going for the lead inside Harry Stewart on the exits of turns 1 and 2. Stewart's going to try and get him right back here, and he has succeeded, certainly. But again, the momentum just getting lost right at the exit of the corner. And it seems like these 2 leaders are keen to be trading spots. Oh, no! That's Josh Harm turned around, caution out again. Again.
There should be a single file restart now.
Yeah.
So Gosley got caught out like Stewart checked up just a bit. Gosley checked up a little bit further, and Bob King couldn't react to that.
We'll see that happen in real time on the Virtual Racing School replay. You see how big the bumps are, the ruts with the worn line, and yeah, you see Gosley just sent down there, and poor Josh Harm couldn't really do much about that. Looks like no penalties coming in from race control this time round either, and the lights are out on the pace truck. We'll be getting a restart at the end of this lap. So Stewart, yes indeed, double file. I think it might have been 2 laps or between cautions. It can be misleading with this track because it's so short. Let's see then. Harry Stewart can get the start he needs. Well, the worn clay down on the bottom, not doing him many favours, keeps him with an even start to Joel Berkeley, but Berkeley does exactly what he did on the last restart and launches himself up the inside on the exit. Bob King down there working the middle of the circuit. He's going to have to slot up to the top pretty soon. Looks like he will, with Mitchell Clark trying to get the position back from him. They make contact, banging wheels. No caution that time, though. No one sent around. Our leaders are side by side.
They both went to the bottom a second ago. Berkeley's got the advantage up top. That was a very poor exit from Stewart. It's going to allow Harm. How is Harm still up here to fight for second? He can't complete the move either. Now the top 3 are on single file as Harry has 111 goes around. That was Lewis Clark. Lead day green.
Yeah, it looks like he managed to make it off the racetrack and not be causing any trouble for drivers behind. So it's Joel Berkeley, Harry Stewart and Josh Harm, your top 3. King holds on to 4. Oh, no. Oh, that looks festive.
That should have been a caution.
Oh.
Hobson was getting all the way from the exit of one corner to the entry of the next one there.
Brenton Hobson having a very tough time there. Oh, look, there's a caution. That's the 42 of Paul Bryan that's been sent around.
See if we can get a replay of Hobson and then get a replay of Bryan, because it's pretty messy, and Bryan was just behind the Hobson melee as well. he went around.
Indeed.
Corner later,
Looks-
and that's him done for the day too.
Indeed it is. Looks like Brian just got into Josh Barry off coming into turns 3 and 4, I believe. That's what happened to Brenton Hobson. Oh, goodness me. How was that not a pile-up?
Yeah.
And there's Paul Bryan. Boop. Hits
Wow.
Josh Barry and turns himself around.
Self-penalising for turning Hobson.
Not going green at the moment. The restart has been postponed by a couple of laps, just waiting for, I think, race control to dissect what happened in that incident and apply penalties if they need to.
He didn't say waiting for the broadcast, did he?
No, he did not.
I need to get my hair
Colton Davis, end of line penalty. So he moves to the back of the grid there. He played a part in those events.
All right, let's get a good run in. 22 to go.
21 to go as we are live, and that is an excellent start from Joel Berkeley around the outside. He absolutely caught Harry Stewart sleeping there, and Josh Harm making it a Slick Sim Sport 1-2, or trying to at least, because Harry Stewart working the top there, taking a bit longer to get himself into that rhythm, but looks like he's sorted himself out for now. The amount of oversteer that Josh Harm is having to deal with his rear wheels in the used up slick clay there. Bob King just motoring around the outside of him.
Mitchell Clark just watching on behind them as well. Oh, a little bit slow on the exit for King. There's a lot of slick now right beneath that very top cushion they're running. Certainly here at 1 and 2. And oh no, Dennis has just been pile drived up the track by Aaron Kelly. A big send. Cost Dance 3 spots in a very good piece of track position. Now he splits them and takes them 4 abreast as King and Mitchell Clark into each other. Oh, this is messy. Not going to end well. There it is.
Oh, there we go. Big pile up, and that's 4 cars involved in that. One of them being Bob
7.
King. Yep, the number just keeps going up. That's going to be one heck of a replay to watch in the midst of this caution. Don't even know how to dissect that. Bob King's chat has been disabled, apparently. So he's none too happy about what happened to him there. Aaron Kelly, obviously, sending it right into the midst of this battle. There's King getting almost turned around by Mitchell Clark, and then in comes Aaron Kelly to finish the job. And around goes Bob King, and 4 other cars, 5, 6 involved in that.
All right. So Berkeley will be hoping to get the restart of his life again. I wonder if Aaron Kelly gets Dean. Nope, Mitchell Clark gets an EOL for that one. And he
Righto.
fall to the back.
Yep, stopped up there. Oh, probably for the incident at the exit of turn 4. So he's managed to get going again down at the back of the grid, and we should be getting a restart shortly. The pace truck's going to come in at the end of this particular lap. So now that the track has seen quite a bit of use, we can see that the outside line has quite the advantage. Joel Berkeley does it again and takes the lead, with Josh Harm down there working the very bottom. Oh, the caution's out again. There's been a pile up at the back of the field. Josh Barry sent up onto his roof there. And since this is back-to-back cautions now, Ryan, I think we're going to see a single file restart. Let's look at the replay first up. Looks like Lewis Clark was the car that brought that out initially. Got into the wall up the top, and then a separate incident here for Josh Barry getting turned around, but obviously might be in reaction to what happened to Lewis Clark there. And Clark, well, he was having some issues of his own. I think he got a slight little tap there from Colton Davis, and that sent the car going straight again. and he just couldn't turn it in time to avoid getting into the wall.
They're determined to make this night run as long as previous rounds, despite having less heats and B-mains, aren't they?
Yeah, certainly. We're certainly getting our money's worth here tonight. And it looks like it is going to be a single-file restart here. Coming up to the restart, Joel Berkeley takes them away. 15 laps to go now. And Joel Berkeley comfortable in the lead, comfortable with his right rear quarter panel grazing the outside wall, and you can see he's already gapped Harry Stewart somewhat. James Rice, though, right on the back of Jaden Russell.
Look at Gosley
Yeah.
trying to roll it right around the bottom of the track. He's the only one really trying it amongst the top 7 or 8.
Yeah, I don't think this is working for him.
He's holding station, if anything.
Yeah, if he wants to advance forward, he's going to have to find a gap to put himself in between Rice and Russell. Meanwhile, it's all on behind them because Adam Barnard, have a look at Adam Barnard, started in 24th and up to 7th place now, having just gotten past Colton Davis, who he's battling incredibly hard with at the moment. What a great drive.
Yeah, he just got ahead of Davis. He was up on the top side in front of him. Ended up down low, and now Davis has the advantage. Top side is definitely still the place to be. But Gosley's got by Rice, and he's challenging Jaden Russell.
He is indeed up the inside again, just trying to get a bit of extra momentum on the straights, where you can see there's a lot of fresh clay coming halfway up the circuit. And oh, the slider, there we go, parks it in front of Russell, who gets into Rice, and James Rice almost sent around. Still keeps going though, but he's lost a few positions and quite a bit of time.
Battle for final top 10 spots is lively behind Aaron Kelly. Kelly, Dance, Hobson, Granger, Mitchell, Clark, all vying over that last spot.
Yeah, this is looking pretty intense for sure. Cameron Dance to the inside, trying the slider on Aaron Kelly. Not working so far, just losing too much speed in the middle of the corner. Oh, yes.
Nathan Norman and Kieran Ellis at the same time.
Oh, yeah, here we go. This could be race changing if Berkeley doesn't get through this quick, sharp. Norman and Ellis in their own battle at the moment for 18th and 19th. And it looks like, oh, whoa, take it easy, boys. Around the outside our leaders go, as that is potential trouble there for Cameron Dance. Bob King giving him a tap and trading positions. Oh, King left in the dust.
All but Essing. And the lap cars did a good job to leave the top side open for the leaders to get by.
4 laps to go for our leaders, by the way.
Trying to knock down the fence. The further you go back in the pack up front, there's still a couple of lap cars in the way for Berkeley and Stewart. It's not over with yet.
Oh, caution!
Dance.
Oh, okay. This is going to be a 1 or 2 lap dash to the finish. Let's see what happened to Cameron Dance there. That's a shame for Cam. He worked himself up into the top 10. He was fighting for those positions. What happened to him? Mitchell Clark there with the 111. Dance tried the slider, and then Bob King looms up behind. Oh, but Dance just got into the wall by himself. A bit too much oversteer resulted in the rear catching the wall, sending him back in. So, 2 laps to go then with this restart, Ryan. Will it be Berkeley? Will it be Stewart? Will Josh Harms surprise us? Trent Gosley has been a consistent threat.
If Berkeley nails the restart, it's his to lose. If Stewart can go with him, it's anyone's fight, especially if they get side by side. Harm could certainly spring a surprise and take them 3 abreast.
Let's see what happens then. Last couple of corners of this formation lap, and we will have 2 to go. From the moment they cross the line, Berkeley fires it towards the inside. We're going to get a finish here. And Berkeley gets the advantage over Stewart. Trent Gosley pressuring up the inside of Josh Harm, desperately trying to get onto that podium. Stewart seems to be the cork in the bottle for the time being. Final lap then for our leaders. It looks like Joel Berkeley has done more than enough to reassert his claims over this championship. Gosley could still get the podium though. He pressures Harm. It hasn't worked. Berkeley crosses the line and wins while hitting the wall. And Harry Stewart there in second place. Fantastic stuff from those guys, and Josh Harm completing the podium positions. What a great result there for Slick Sim Sport, first and third, and Harry Stewart for United in second place.
Berkeley may have meant to kiss the fence, but I don't think he meant to do it that hard or that early, because he was quite fortunate his car reacted a little bit more violently to that. Stewart certainly closed in a lot before the line. He got a little bit lucky there. Oh, and a black flag for a post-race black flag for Harry Stewart drops him to third.
Oh no, that's a big shame there. So it's going to be Berkeley and Harm, your top two, with Stewart in the third position, or maybe not. We're going to wait and see what the actual results are here. We had 79 laps official, we're hearing.
Ah, yes. Yes, don't mind me. Yeah.
Righto.
We were 1 lap short of the 80-lap limit. So it is Berkeley, Stewart, Harm. You confirmed top 3. We just snuck in our 50 green flag laps within the timed limit.
We certainly did. Very lucky on that one. Well, we're going to be moving on then into post-race interviews. The first driver to be joining us, the winner, Joel Berkeley. You're back on top again, Joel, and USA was a slight little blip on your radar, but still back to winning ways again.
Yeah, well, I guess since James missed the feature and he's in love this week, he obviously forgot how to drive, and yeah, I mean, he missed the feature, which is fortunate for us, but it's unfortunate for him. It would have been nice to have a bit of a battle with him, but is what it is, and yeah, happy to walk away with another win, and almost threw it away there at the line though.
Yeah, what happened there?
If I'm honest, I just stood on it.
Uh-huh.
That's probably all there is to it.
All right. It seemed like there were a few people standing on it today with the amount of cautions that we saw, Joel. How was it from your perspective, just racing in those short bursts?
It was scary early on, I'll tell you that much. I think the track was a little bit more top dominant than everyone expected it to be, but you take the good with the bad, and yeah, I don't know, it was a bit scary mid-pack or mid-race there trying to get through the when I fell back to 5th or whatever, and yeah, it was a bit scary trying to get through there, but thankfully got through, and yeah, I'm happy with it.
As you should be. Well, that means that you keep your championship lead, and after starting in 8th thanks to the invert, you got 8 more passing points as well, so all up, yet another good round for you.
Yeah, no, that's right. Obviously, with the field being a little smaller than it has been, it was a bit smaller of an invert, because obviously you can only do it off the transfers. So hopefully the next few weeks we can see the field build up a bit more. But yeah, I mean, it's still a cool series regardless.
Before we let you go, Joel, is there anyone you'd like to thank from your garage at Slick?
Yeah, massive thanks to the guys at Slick. Congrats to Harmy on the podium as well. Feel like it's been every week we've had a car on the 2 cars at least on the podium. Congrats to Harry, he put up a good race, and all the team there, Swindell Speedway, and all the sponsors that help out there, and hopefully James can make the feature next week. Or hopefully it's not me not making the show.
Well, we'll see. We will see. Best of luck to you, Joel, and commiserations to James Edens. That's Joel Berkeley, your winner here tonight at Limaland. Next up, we have got second place, Harry Stewart for United. Welcome once again, Harry. Pole position start for the feature thanks to the invert. So you definitely started with a great advantage.
Yeah, that first time I think the invert sort of worked out my way the whole season. So it was a bit different starting up front. So just tried to lead some laps at the start there and sort of figure out what I was doing and what it's like to have fresh air in these cars.
coming up towards the end, you and Joel Berkeley were trading places corner by corner. How is it racing like that at Limaland? Is it a good circuit for these cars?
Yeah, it was pretty much, I think, my first race here. So, yeah, it's definitely probably, I guess, now one of my favourite tracks for these. You can sort of, couldn't really run the bottom, but it was pretty easy to throw a slider and cross over, and just in general, pretty racy track. So, yeah.
Well, you're down in the midst of the top 10 in the championship standings, but with that third place finish for you, certainly some valuable championship points.
Yeah, the points are, I think they're pretty tight from, I think, third to about 6 or something. So, any points sort of help. I knew I had to beat, I think it was Mitchell and Harmy. So, yeah, just tried to stay in front of them and just wanted to see what Joel was doing to follow him, because he's pretty much, I think, one of the best in these, as probably see by his results this whole season. So I just tried to follow him and felt like I might have had something there if I had a good restart. Just had to slide him into 1 and 2, because how good the cut down was in 3 and 4 would have been pointless to throw it there.
Do you think a win is possible in the remaining rounds?
I'd like to say yes, but I'll just sort of try and focus on making features and staying up the front in the top 10, top 5. Sort of, it's probably the only time this season besides weed sport I've been comfortable the whole race. So if I can feel comfortable, I should be top 10, top 5. So see what happens.
See what happens indeed. Before we let you go, Harry, is there anyone you'd like to thank from your garage?
Yep, just everyone at United Sim Sports, Adrad Radiators, 87 Creative, Natrad Radiators and Auto, Harrop Engineering, and Brad and Darcy for spotting. So,
that's Harry Stewart there for United, your second place finisher in the feature. And final driver interview of the night. Well, for Josh Harm, certainly a difficult start from 7th place thanks to the invert, but worked your way back up into 3rd and challenging for the lead at one point, Harmy.
Yeah, no, finally good to have a good run, actually. I got a bit lucky midway through, ended up facing the wrong way, but got all my spots back. Yeah, no, can't complain.
Certainly an up and down race for you. Just talk us through that incident that happened with you spinning towards the back. Very close quarters here at Limaland. It's a very tight track, especially with these cars.
Yeah, that's right. And the top line tonight seemed to be dominant, and I restarted on the bottom, just minding my own business, trying to roll the bottom. Then all of a sudden, I seen a car come across my nose, and I was pointing the wrong way. Couldn't do much about it, and carried on. Didn't wreck me night, so can't complain.
Certainly didn't wreck your night. Podium for you, which is certainly going to help out with the points standing situation.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm sitting 3rd, and we're really close from 3rd to like 8th in points. So no, yeah, good haul of points, good passing points, and hopefully onwards and upwards for the rest of the season.
Indeed. What's your target for the remaining rounds of the season?
Stay out of trouble and finish up the front somewhere.
Yeah, certainly makes sense on that. Thanks for joining us, Josh Harm. Before we let you go, anyone that you'd like to thank?
Thank you. No, just the boys back at Slick Sim Sports, putting all the hard work in for the sets every week. Yeah, can't do without them. Cheers.
2 cars on the podium for Slick Sim Sports. Josh Harm there and Joel Berkeley taking the win. Well then, it is time then to round it up for the night. Ryan Jones has to bounce, so we're going to say goodbye to him, and we'll say goodbye to you here on SimSpeed TV. Don't forget, next week we're going to be racing the next round of this series, so you want to catch that, make sure that you tune in to SimSpeed TV on YouTube and on Facebook next Thursday night. It was Joel Berkeley coming out on top once again. Who can stop this man? We'll find out together. I'm Reese Gardner. It was Ryan Jones in the commentary box with me and Jay Kennedy making everything happen behind the scenes. Bye for now, but certainly not forever. Catch you next week.
This is fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?